Alright, listen up. If you think building wealth that lasts past your lifetime is some fairy tale, I've got a story for you. It's about a family who started with ordinary jobs, average debt, and zero inheritance, and ended up building a multi-million-dollar legacy that stretched 5 generations deep. This isn't about flashy get-rich-quick schemes or real estate unicorns. It's about real money, smart investing, and legal muscle. So grab your coffee, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to start building your own generational wealth, even if you're starting from scratch. Meet Maria, our trailblazer. Picture Maria, 30 years old, working an office job making $55,000 a year. She's got $7,000 in credit card debt and a student loan of $35,000. Not wealthy, but definitely determined. Here's Maria's game plan, and you'll want to write this down. First, clear all high-interest debt ASAP. She tackles her credit card debt by paying $300 extra a month. Takes her 2 years, but is gone. Because no matter what, those 20% interest rates will murder your wealth building ability. Second, build an emergency fund. Maria stacks $10,000 into a savings account. Third, start investing immediately. While paying down debt, she's still putting $500 a month into retirement accounts. $300 to her 401k. Taking full advantage of that employer match, and $200 into a Roth IRA. Both are invested in broad, low-cost index funds. Why index funds? Because honestly, trying to pick stocks is like trying to catch a greased pig at a Texas rodeo. Tricky and often pretty futile. Index funds spread your money across thousands of companies, so your money grows steadily and with low fees. Now here's where Maria gets serious. She meets an estate lawyer and sets up a Dynasty trust, because we all know that taxes can kill your legacy wealth fast. Maria sets up her trust in South Dakota, which is kind of a Dynasty trust haven, to avoid estate taxes and generation-skipping transfer taxes for up to 100 years. But what's a Dynasty trust? Well, think of it like a magical financial vault. Your money is protected, it keeps growing tax-free, and can't be spent recklessly. Plus, it passes from generation to generation without getting shredded by taxes or divorce battles. So, after building her emergency fund and paying off those credit cards, Maria goes ahead and funds the trust with $50,000. Now here are the rules she sets up for her trust. 1. No principal withdrawals are allowed. 2. Withdrawals can only happen when the fund reaches $5 million, and even then, it's just 2% annually on the interest only, or if there's a medical emergency, of course. 3. Future generations can contribute money or assets anytime they want to the trust. That means the trust can actually grow faster over time, not just from inheritance alone. 4. The trustee is only allowed to invest in low-cost index funds, keeping things simple and steady, because 99% of the time, slow and steady wins the race. Plus, the trust assets are protected from creditors and lawsuits, which is important. Fast forward 25 years. What does Maria's trust look like now? With her steady $500 monthly investments and that initial $50,000, assuming a 7% annual return, by the time she's 55 years old, her personal investments are worth about $400,000. Meanwhile, her Dynasty trust has quietly grown to nearly $1 million. Untouched, just compounding like a money machine. And here's the real kicker. When Maria retires, she plans to withdraw just 4% per year max from her retirement accounts, leaving the trust principal completely alone. That way, the trust keeps on growing, ready for Carlos and Anna when the time comes. Now, it's time for the second generation. Meet Carlos and Anna. Raised on Maria's values, they inherit the trust along with an additional $250,000 portfolio. Here's what they do. Each opens their own Dynasty trust with $200,000 from their inheritance. They use something called Grantor Retained Annuity Trust to pass appreciated assets to their kids without paying estate taxes on that growth. They keep maxing out their Roth IRAs and 401ks, and they each add $10,000 a year to their trust from their own earnings. But let's stop for a second and discuss what is a Grantor Retained Annuity Trust. Well, they're a pretty powerful tool to freeze the value of assets for tax purposes and pass all that future appreciation tax-free. It's kind of like locking in today's prices and gifting all the future growth to the next generation. By the year 2080, the trusts that Carlos and Anna set up have really multiplied. Thanks to steady 7% returns and their continued contributions, their combined trusts are now worth roughly $5.7 million. But maybe even more importantly, their smart estate planning has saved the family about $400,000 in federal estate taxes. That's money that would otherwise be gone forever. They're able to retire comfortably, withdrawing around 4% yearly to live well, all while preserving the trust principal. Now let's move on to the third generation. Maya and Luis really get tactical. They inherit $5.7 million. And right away, they hire financial pros who specialize in trusts and tax law. Here's what they do. They set up family limited partnerships to bundle assets and give limited interest as gifts to their kids, which helps reduce the taxable estate size. They also gift up to the annual exclusion amount, that's $17,000 per person per year, regularly to the next generation. Plus, they keep funding the trust, adding another $1 million over 30 years. They're a bit more conservative, expecting about 6.5% annual returns, since their portfolio is balanced with bonds. By the year 2110, their trusts have hit around $15 million, and they've managed to save another $1.2 million in taxes. Olivia and Noah inherit more than $15 million, but they really want their wealth to do good in the world. So, here's what they do. They create a family foundation, putting in $3 million to support causes they care about. And that also gives them some pretty significant tax deductions. They use trust decanting to keep the trust flexible as laws change over time. They keep investing globally and work hard to diversify risk. Plus, they keep adding money and make it a point to teach the family about money and stewardship. By the year 2140, the trust assets have grown to about $25 million. Now, in Generation 5, the great-great-grandkids are keeping the flame alive. By the year 2200, the trusts are worth over $50 million. The family sticks to a 3% withdrawal rate, basically living off the interest and never touching the principal. They hold regular family meetings to pass down financial wisdom, avoid reckless spending, and keep growing the trust through new contributions and smart investing. Alright, so here's the big takeaway. Here's how you can start building generational wealth today. First, pay down high-interest debt, because honestly, that credit card is a real wealth killer. Next, build yourself an emergency fund so you don't get totally derailed by unexpected expenses. Then invest consistently in low-cost broad market index funds. Basically, buy the whole market and avoid those pesky fees. You'll also want to set up a Dynasty trust or a similar legal structure. And you should definitely talk to a good estate lawyer about that to help protect and grow your wealth for future generations. Use smart tax strategies to reduce taxes and keep more of your money in the family. Upon retiring, adopt a simple lifestyle and make conservative withdrawals, following the 3 to 4% rule to preserve your nest egg. And very important, get your family involved early. Educate them and encourage everyone to contribute. That's how you build a legacy that lasts. So, let's step back for a second. We started this story with a young woman. No money, no fancy degrees, no financial cheat codes, just grit, a library card, and a vision bigger than herself. She didn't build a mansion. She built a foundation, not just for her kids, but for generations she would never meet. And here's the real kicker. You can be that person too. You don't need to be rich. You just need to start today with what you have. Generational wealth isn't about having a private jet. It's about giving your kids the choice to fly without being trapped in debt. It's about showing them that freedom comes from patience. It's about planting a tree under whose shade you may never sit, but knowing that someone you love will. This isn't just a finance plan, this is rebellion. In a world that wants you stuck in cycles of debt, of poverty, of paycheck-to-paycheck anxiety, building wealth slowly and legally through trust, index funds, and discipline is an act of revolution. So go build a trust, teach your kids, talk about money at the dinner table, invest a little every month, live below your means, pass the torch, not the bill, and one day, maybe 100 years from now, a kid with your last name will open a letter from a trust you set up and say, "Someone thought about me before I was even born." That's the real flex. If this inspired you, smash that like button, subscribe, and send this to someone who's ready to break the cycle. Because wealth isn't just what you build, it's what you leave behind. See you in the next one.